to Biology and Bioengineering Summer Camp, BBSC 2021.
All right, very good afternoon all the participants. We are glad to see you back in tutorial 2 today. Uh, as we have briefed you that these three tutorials, tutorial 1, 2 and 3, are essentially to give you some exposure that which of the online tools currently available, which can be used for doing many interesting biological experiments. And given the current pandemic situation, this is actually worth exploring that what else you can do from sitting at home. And after doing these sessions, I'm sure you'll be very delighted that a lot of interesting, serious experiments can be done even at your place. So a study session primarily gave you some idea that how you can get a gene sequence, how you can do multiple genes and their sequence alignment, multiple sequence alignment, how well you can find out which are the unique regions, which if you want to utilize the molecular diagnostic based approach like PCR or a real-time PCR, you need to design the primers, and what are the criteria and considerations to design good primers. Of course, we have very broad range of audience here. Sometimes some concept could be very difficult for a class 8th, 9th student. Sometimes the concept could be very simple or too basic for BSc or MSc students. But we are trying to make a balance, especially for the very younger audience. Even if you take some time, please don't hesitate. Don't feel intimidated. Don't feel that we are trying to take very advanced knowledge for you. We are just giving you exposure. We are just priming you up. We will have more interactions about these technologies and these sessions again in the summer camp scheduled from the Monday. Today we are going to talk to you about something very interesting, which is how to look for two biomolecular interactions can be determined. So think about in the normal human physiology, uh, for any kind of life science system to operate, uh, various biomolecules, they work in a very orchestrated manner. They have to interact with each other. They have to pass on the signals. They have to relay like a team race, right? A lot of signal transduction, cascade and activities. These are all interplay of different molecules. So molecular interactions are very important. There are different techniques which are used to determine how two molecules, whether protein-protein or protein drugs or protein DNA or other molecule, how they interact. So there are different experimental techniques which can determine that two biomolecules, they're really interacting with each other or not. Some of the fluorescence-based methods are available. Also, some of the label-free methods like surface plasmon resonance or biomolecular interferometry. Some of these techniques are currently available, which can determine whether two molecules are really interacting or not. And based on those interactions, then one could know what could be the strength of those interactions. Think about when you are taking a medicine, right? Sometimes you have a lot of pain and you want a medicine to work right away. So you want the reaction to happen very fast. Whereas sometimes you want, to have the, a sleeping pill to take the sleep for several hours, and you want that medicine to work slow. So it's not only that two molecules interact, but also the strength of the binding and interaction is also very important. So many of these things are very exciting, which is the current, a lot of emphasis is given for the biopharma sector to identify the new molecules and determine their molecular strength. And considering these, think about any new drug development process, which is very tedious process, right? You want to develop a new drug for a given disease, and COVID-19 definitely exposed all of that to us. That how crucial it is to identify quickly the molecule which can work for human and which can work against virus, and without showing any kind of symptoms, side effects. So as a result, it becomes very important to look for the computational approaches because biological experiments will take some time. You can't do that very fast, but computational stuff can be done much faster with with the lot of screening can be done. So think about that. You want to look for a given protein. You want to find out which are all possible drug which can bind to that protein, right? And then to look for that binding, you are going to screen against the large libraries, and that's where I think the computational binding and these kind of docking experiments can be very crucial to narrow down the molecules. And that's why I think we have uploaded two tutorials yesterday, two videos. I hope you are able to go through it. Even if it's a bit complex, please bear with us, try to understand that. And we are really trying to give you the exposure, which is the real research-based work, which you can actually do to take the serious projects, right? Not only just some very basic knowledge. So these are some of the content which I have just taken from the video, which you might have gone through. Especially the concept of drug repurposing becomes very crucial because most of the time we don't have time to identify the new drug molecule in case of COVID-19, in fact, even. So previously known drugs being tried to see can we inhibit some of these viral proteins and can we use these as antiviral, and therefore the repurposing aspect comes to the play that known approved drugs, which is in United States, the Food and Drug Agency, they have released the list of the molecules which can be safe for the human consumption, and whether those could be utilized against these kind of disease. That was one of the aspects of drug repurposing, and of course, many time for the cancer and other disease, people also try the same concept. So we have tried to explain you some concept relevant for the drug repurposing in COVID-19. Also, what is the crucial concept of the molecular docking? And then how one could now try to prepare these molecules for the protein and ligand when you're looking at their structure, how to perform these docking experiments using some of the open access tools. So for doing this, now you have two different things to consider. One is your protein structure, three-dimensional structure, and second is, of course, you have a drug and ligand. So you're looking at two different type of in silico based approaches to prepare both of these molecules first. So for many proteins, you have the known structures available, and then your job becomes much simpler. For many proteins, you don't have even the structure available. Then you have much tougher problem and challenging problems to explore. And then likewise, you can then look for the drug libraries and try to screen those. Then prepare this molecule, perform the computational based docking, which is like simulation. You're trying to simulate this and seeing like which of these molecules interact really strongly. And after that, then you see which residues, which amino acids are especially binding, what is the binding pocket, which is the most active site, which is can be utilized. And based on these knowledge, then only you say, out of 1,000 molecule I have screened, maybe these are 10 molecule or 10 drugs, which are worth trying out for the next step of the experimental based work, right? And then this is in the second tutorial video, we have explained you the visualization tools available and how best you can look for the protein ligand interaction analysis. So many of these things are quite fascinating. As you start doing this, you will really see that you are doing the real cutting edge research, and just with the known information available, you are doing something which can be meaningfully utilized. During the COVID-19 time, so we are not doing too much the simulation and computational work at my lab at IIT Bombay. We do more experimental labs, experimental based things in the lab, right? So we were trying to identify the proteins from the COVID-19 patients, that which proteins from the patient's swab sample or blood sample, plasma sample, which are showing the most change as compared to COVID-19 negative patients, or which proteins are showing the most significant impact when a patient is moving from mild to the severe form of disease, right? So after identifying these protein, the question was, can we now start using the drug libraries, look for FDA approved drugs, and see can we utilize these computational approaches to find out some potential drug repurposing approach. And similarly, I think many people in the literature and different scientists of the world, they have tried similar approaches. Going to be very fascinating. I'm sure you are going to be excited to learn something really new and real. Quizzes, coming to the quiz part. Congratulations to all the winners of yesterday's quiz. We had some revision in the list of winners because please make sure that there are three different groups we have made. One is junior group, which is up to 10th grade. Middle group is grade 11th and 12th. Senior group is undergrads or above. So if you are, let's say, undergrad and playing in junior quiz or middle quiz, and if you are winner, then of course we are going to disqualify you. Please don't make this error of choosing the right form. I think that much intelligence we are expecting that you will not show that problem. So choose the right quiz and only appear for the right quiz. These are all ways to encourage you that you're participating well. I'm sure the learning is the best winning part here. Like if you can learn some of these tools and get some of these concepts, then I think we have done justice to our efforts to teach you something in the summer camp, and you have done meaningfully employed your time to learn something. I think quiz is just a way to assess your learning, right? So please don't be too cautious about it and move and change the your class grades from that purpose. So we are going to disqualify people who are not writing the quiz in the right slot. Time limit is 20 minutes. Please make sure that you are working to the best internet speed and don't take more than 18 minutes time, because we are giving you extra time already. The Kahoot was much faster, way of doing it, but we are giving you 20 minutes. Don't ask for the extra time. It will not be fair for every other participant for that purpose. So quiz one, based on these consideration, we have revised some of the winners. Some people have actually put this forward, this idea, some students, and we considered that seriously. So we are now going to announce the winners of today's and tomorrow's in the email to all of you. Uh, from my group today, Dr. Manisha, she is going to take over this session. Two of my PhD students, MS Ayushi and MS Amrita, they have done wonderful work of preparing these videos for you, which you have seen in tutorial. And of course, from my team members, Akanksha, Renuka, Arup, everybody will be there to help you out and take any further query. All right. Without further delays, now let me hand over this to Dr. Manisha. So Manisha, if you are there, please start sharing your screen.
Can you see my screen and am I audible?
Yes, Manisha, please make it full screen though.
Yeah.
Your PPT, make it full screen and you're audible.
Yes, yes. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Dr. Manisha, and today I'll be taking the tutorial to hands-on session. So in the contents for today, so we have will be discussing more on the importance of protein-protein interaction and protein-ligand interactions. We'll be discussing on the binding site analysis, why it is very important to actually know exactly where we are expecting the ligands or the ligand protein to bind, the various docking methods, and the concept behind rigid and flexible docking, and also the different softwares which are available for docking. We'll have an hands-on session on that. As Professor Sanjeeva has already mentioned regarding the two recorded videos that have been shared. So we have in detail, so the first video has in detail all the information on using Pyrex software for docking, and the second video on the post-docking analysis. So here I'll give you a brief introduction on PyMol for visualization. Now, yesterday in the session, we learned more on the gene sequences, the gene sequence databases. So today, now when we come to protein sequences and protein sequence structures, so what happens? So if you see here, so we have the different levels of structures for these proteins. For the primary structure, we have a linear sequence of amino acids. For the secondary structure, when these linear sequences, they actually fold, we do have the helices and the beta sheets and beta strands. Then moving on, we have the tertiary structure of the protein, wherein the helices and the beta sheets, beta strands, patterns, they come together with the help of the turns and loops. Then we have the tertiary structure. Then finally, we have the quaternary structure, when the various subunits, they come together and they form a functional protein. Now, when we talk about protein sequence databases, we have UniProt, which is a widely used database. Now, UniProt has the component of SwissProt, which has all the manually annotated and reviewed protein sequences. And we also have TREMBL, which is the translated sequences. And these are automatically annotated ones and not curated ones and not reviewed. So now, if you see here the numbers, we have around 5 lakhs of protein sequences in SwissProt, and we have almost 195 million sequences in case of in the translated database. Now, when we move on to the protein structure repositories, now when we talk about drug discovery, we know that more than the sequences, we are focused on the structures, because we will need the protein structure for carrying out molecular docking studies. Now, where do we get these protein structures? So the protein structure repository, we have RCSB, protein data bank. So now here we have around 1,71,000 protein structures with like proteins which have their structures. Now, if you see the differences, here we had like almost 5 lakhs of protein sequences with experimental evidences. And we, in the structural cases, we have only 1 lakh. So why the difference? So basic differences, the structure prediction methodology is quite complicated. And for that, we have X-ray crystallography, we have nuclear magnetic resonance, and we have cryo-electron microscopy. The most reliable one is always the X-ray crystallography, because the resolution is very good in case of XRD. So we always prefer X-ray crystallography structures which are deposited in PDB for drug discovery. However, the main problem that we face in case of X-ray crystallography is that most of the proteins, they do not get crystallized. Mostly the transmembrane proteins, the membrane proteins, it is very difficult to crystallize those. And that is why there is one gap in case of drug discovery. Now, in such circumstances, when you do not have a structure, protein structure, to go ahead with, to use it for drug discovery, to use it for molecular docking. Now, what is the next thing that can be done? So we can go for homology modeling and ab initio methods. Now, coming to drug docking. So first of all, we will have to choose our protein of interest and also our ligands of interest. While choosing the protein of interest, so it can be a target protein which is responsible for causing a certain disease such as diabetes or cancer. And in case of ligands, so there can be two ways, whether we want to focus on any compound that has not been reported earlier, or we want to look for some FDA approved drugs which can be used for repurposing studies. So once we narrow down on the protein of interest and the ligands of interest, so these ligands and proteins has to be prepared. The ligands will be minimized by after addition of charges. And then even the proteins, so the in case of proteins, the water molecules will be removed, and any cofactors or ions which are not directly related to the function of the protein, those will be removed, and the protein will be minimized. So once the ligand and the proteins are ready, so they will be carried forward for virtual screening. Now, what is virtual screening? In virtual screening, so we will have our target protein, and these ligands, so millions of ligands will be screened against this target protein. So once we screen all these, compounds or the ligands against this particular target protein, so based on the best docking score and the lowest minimum binding free energy, the best 10 or 15 compounds will be selected, and those will be taken forward for induced fit docking studies. Now, in induced fit docking studies, because we cannot screen millions of compounds, and it also requires higher computational power, so we can actually go for 10 or more than 10 or 15 compounds, and then go for induced fit docking against the target protein one by one. So now suppose you can see this particular protein, N-terminal and C-terminal. So we have the ligand bound to it, right? So this is the protein ligand complex. And similarly, so once we have got the protein ligand complex after doing the docking studies, we can go for molecular dynamic simulation studies. Now, what is the difference between molecular dynamic simulation and molecular docking? So in case of molecular docking, we have removed all the water molecules, the cofactors and ions. However, this is not the case that happens inside the human body. In the human body, where the target protein is present in real time, so we have all the water molecules and surrounding ions and everything. So in case of molecular dynamic simulation, we create the exact system that is present inside the body almost after adding the solvent ions, salts and everything. We create a system in the presence of water molecules. And then we go for molecular dynamic simulation studies, that we run the simulation, this particular protein ligand complex force field will be applied, and till 100 nanoseconds or more than 100 nanoseconds, the simulation will be run. Now then we will come to know whether the complex is stable and till what what time. Like suppose you can see here, this is a conformation of the ligand at the starting stage, and this is after the end state, right? So we can see that the conformation of the ligand is has changed, right? So the orientation has changed, even though the ligand has not come out from the pocket, but the orientation has changed. So this kind of analysis can be done using molecular.
The next thing is rigid and flexible docking. So what is rigid docking and flexible docking? Rigid docking is what happens in when the protein is very stable, okay, and the ligand comes and binds to the protein, but the protein doesn't change its conformation. Okay, what happens in flexible docking? Flexible docking, the protein changes its conformation, that is the bond angles and bond lengths and everything, in such a way that it can accommodate the ligand. Okay, so that is flexible docking. So flexible docking is preferred in case when we are talking about protein and small molecule interactions. In case of protein docking, it is rigid docking is preferred. Now, when we discussed about computer-aided drug discovery, so if you see here, so there are millions of compounds, right? Now we can screen millions of compounds with the help of computer-aided drug discovery, and after filtering, we get hardly 5 compounds which are hits and which can be potential drugs. So now all this filtering process, right? So this has been done using computers, using bioinformatics. But what would have happened if we don't have bioinformatics and any concept of computer-aided drug discovery? So it is not possible to actually take each of these compounds and go for wet lab experiments. It is not possible. So of course, these 5 hits which we have got after all the filtering, high throughput filtering. So we can take this for wet lab and validation experiments to, confirm whether it can be a potential drug. But it was not possible for these many million compounds, okay, to choose the best one. So all these, things have actually made the drug discovery process much easier with the help of bioinformatics. So the steps in docking, so these I have already discussed, like protein preparation, ligand preparation, grid generation. Now, what is grid generation? So suppose this is a particular, enzyme, okay, and this enzyme will have an active site, and which is the substrate binding site, and also a cofactor binding site, right? So now this substrate binding site, uh, I know that suppose the inhibitor, it needs to go and bind to the substrate binding site, okay, or the cofactor binding site in order to inhibit the activity of the enzyme. So now when I'm doing molecular docking, I will choose this particular site, that is the substrate binding site, as the pocket where the ligand should go and bind. Then I will actually choose this particular space, so and make a grid. Okay, a grid is a box. Okay, so then once I make this grid, so the ligand will only focus on this particular binding site and not the entire protein. So this is the difference between targeted docking and blind docking. In case of blind docking, what we do is we do not choose any grid. Rather, we keep the grid in the whole of the protein, and the ligand would actually go and around the entire protein in search of its best complementarity, that is the best interactions, and where it can bind with the minimum binding free energy. Then finally, we go for docking. Now, protein ligand interactions. So this is a figure. So once we are done with the docking, now we have to analyze the results, right? So we need to see like how the interactions are actually, have actually taken place. So now this is the ACE2 protein. So in COVID-19, we have kept on hearing about spike protein interacting with ACE2 of human, right? So now this is the ACE2 protein, and this is the hydroxychloroquine, okay, compound. Now this hydroxychloroquine compound, it is showing interaction with aspartate 367 and aspargine 277, right? And here you can see the hydrogen bond interactions. Now going a little back to our chemistry, how the hydrogen bonds look like. See here, red is the oxygen, blue is the nitrogen, white is the hydrogen. Okay, so NHO bond. Okay, so then red is the oxygen, white is the hydrogen, and red is again the oxygen. This is OHO bond. Okay, and this is the distance between the two atoms. Okay, so this is also given here. So these kind of images we can get from post-docking analysis using software such as PyMol or Chimera. Then here, if you see, this is a lick plot image. Okay, so here we can see this is the pocket, and these are all the residues which are differently colored based on their polarity. And like here, you can see that aspartate 367 and aspargine 277. Here also they are showing interactions. This is the hydroxychloroquine compound. Now, just like protein ligand interaction, that is a protein small molecule interactions, we also have something called as protein interactions. Mostly whenever we talk about, blood coagulation mechanism, for example, okay, we have a tissue factor, then we have the factor 10. Okay, now whenever factor 10 combines with the tissue factor, it becomes factor 10A, which is the activated form, and that only leads to the activation of the extrinsic pathway of coagulation mechanism. Okay, so now those kind of pathways or the protein-protein interactions, there are so many proteins present in the body, and they are very densely packed inside the cells. So now these proteins, they need to, there are many protein complexes. Only when they bind to one another, then only the entire pathway gets activated. Okay, so in order to understand those kind of mechanisms and pathways, so we have to go for protein-protein interaction analysis. So you can see here, this is protein A and this is protein B. There is a shape complementarity here, right? So this is like the lock and key, method, lock and key mechanism that we have studied earlier in our schools. So this is how it is binding. With A and B has formed a complex. Now coming to the hands-on session. So let us just go to the web server. Okay, so I hope everyone is connected to their internet and have their laptop along with them so that we can do some hands-on session. So the first thing that we would do is we would go to the protein data bank. So the link has also already been shared with you. So RCSB PDB. So if you click on that link, so you will see this particular page. Okay, and then we will search here. Suppose spike glycoprotein or SARS. So you can see here, these are all the structures that has been deposited for SARS-CoV-2 spike glycoprotein. So this is one structure which is in a closed state, and this structure has been determined using electron microscopy. Then this particular structure also determined using electron microscopy. Then this structure, let us find one which is determined using X-ray crystallography. Yes, this one, 6LXT. Okay, it is determined by X-ray diffraction, X-ray crystallography. Now, if we click on the 6LXT, so you can see it has 6 chains, 132 amino acid residue it has, and it has as ligands bound to it. It has PG4, so tetraethylene glycol. Now this compound, whenever you are doing docking, you need to delete this compound because this is a compound which is no way related to the activity of the protein. Rather, it was used for the crystallization of the protein. Then we have a zinc ion also. that can be kept when you are doing docking, because that is a necessary ion for the protein to function. So now you can get all these information from PDB. Okay. So the next thing that needs to be done is, and one more thing which I would like to show here is, if you just go to the protein and just click on right click, open with, and just click WordPad. So here you can see that this format, this is actually called as the PDB format. We have the header, we have the title. Okay, all this information are there. The journal, all the journals where this particular structure was published. Okay, the authors, all the details are present. Okay, so the next thing that we will do is, we will just maybe select one TFH, and then to see here, right? So you can see here, this is atom number 1 is nitrogen, which belongs to asparagine, and it is in the A chain. Okay, but the residue number for us, okay, whenever we talk about in docking, whenever you see the interaction, suppose the compound is showing interaction here with this particular nitrogen of asparagine, so then the residue number would be 5. Okay, so this is just for, this is the one which we need to consider. Then we have the x, y, z and coordinates, x, y, z coordinates here, because this is a three-dimensional structure, right? So we have the x, y, and z coordinates. So mentioned here. So then if we go scroll down, you have the heteroatoms. Okay, we have the water molecules here. So these are the water molecules that needs to be removed before going for docking studies. So the next thing is, once we have done the protein, preparation, now we have to look for the ligands. So for ligands, one of the best, preferred database is the PubChem. Okay, so PubChem has millions of compounds, and we can actually look for the compounds of interest in PubChem. So suppose I'm talking about hydroxychloroquine. Okay, so we can look for synthesize all the natural compounds here in PubChem. So when I look for hydroxychloroquine, so the first hit, I can click on the first hit, hydroxychloroquine. Now, if you scroll down, so we have all the information about the hydroxychloroquine regarding its function, the toxicity studies, and everything. We also have the two-dimensional structure. We also have the three-dimensional structure given. Okay. So for the three-dimensional structure, we can go to download, and we can download as using any of this format. Okay. So the most preferred one is the SDF format. So in case you don't get a certain format in which you are looking for the compound, then what you can do is, there are softwares such as OpenBabel, where which you can use for converting the file format. So suppose you have downloaded in MOL format and you want in SDF format, you can go to OpenBabel and convert MOL format to SDF format. So we can get the compounds from here. We also have the canonical Smileys format here. Okay. So now suppose we want to know, a bit more information. We want to get some more information on the particular compounds, on the drugs. Okay. On few drugs, we want to, look for few drugs which are already used in the market, But then we want to have some more information on it. We want to consider it for repurposing. Okay. Suppose I'm considering here the drug called ivermectin. Now this drug, so here we can see that it also has the structure. Okay, we can download the structure as small SDF or PDB. Okay, then we have information about its chemical formula, the weight of the compound, all the informations are there. One of the most interesting information is the targets. Okay, if you go to targets, you can see few target proteins, okay, such as the glycine. Okay, so this particular ivermectin, it's an agonist of glycine receptor subunit alpha 3. Okay, these are the papers that have reported that. Then it is an agonist of gamma aminobutyric acid receptor subunit beta 3. Then it is an inhibitor of multi-drug resistance associated protein. So suppose you have a target protein at hand and you want to see whether the drug of interest that you are focusing on. So any study has been conducted till date on that, on those target proteins and the ligand interaction or not. So those information you can get from drug bank. Okay. So this is a very useful, database. So in order to get more biological information compared to PubChem. So now the next thing is, once you have got the protein, you've got the ligand, you have downloaded, you have prepared the ligand, then you can go for protein ligand docking, okay, using the Pyrex software, which I will not show here, but videos have been already shared with you. So further, the next thing that we will do is ClusPro. So we have already shared the ClusPro links with you all. Okay, so you can click on that or copy paste in your browser, and you can actually set up an account and use it. I'll just go without account. Okay, so now suppose here I will download so what I can do here is I can give a job name. Suppose let us call this as protein. Okay, let's make it GPU so that it is done faster. Then say receptor, we will upload a receptor protein. So usually the receptor protein is the larger protein and ligand protein is the smaller protein that you have considered for the analysis. And here, we can download the proteins from here. The first protein we can download is 1-TFH, which is a tissue factor. Okay, so this protein can be downloaded from here, download PDB format. And the second protein is 1F S 1F0S. So this protein also, this is factor 10A. So this protein also can be downloaded in the PDB format. Okay. Now, once we have done that, so the next thing that we will do is we will upload the files here. We'll consider the first file 1F0S and then also the upload the ligand file 1TFH. Okay, so now once I have uploaded this, so there are many advanced options also. So I won't go into details of that. So I'll just say I agree to use ClusPro only for non-commercial purposes and then say doc. Okay, so we can see here that it is going on currently. right? So this, let me just show what is the result of that, because that is going to take some time. So just to show, so once it comes as, like this, the page looks like this, my finished jobs, and the status shows finished. So we have all the names and the ID. So first look for your job name, and then if it shows finished, the ID against it, just click on that. Then you will find this. Okay, so in display models, you can choose 10, 20, 30, as much you want, as many you want, and then you can go for view model score. So based on the best model score, you can select the top 5 or top 10. Okay, more than that, the main important task that is to be done is, we have to look for research papers on these particular protein with whatever the target protein that we have chosen. So we have to read up on that. So all the crystal structure papers, or the NMR structure, whatever structure papers are available for that target protein, to understand the binding site of that protein, or the binding domain of that protein. So once we know the binding domain, then only we will know whether this ligand protein has actually bound at that particular space or not. So if it is correct, and then the score is also good, then we can consider those structures. So, and also one more step is that we have to go for energy calculation. So that energy calculation can be also done using other commercial softwares. So we can take the complex and go for minimization or energy calculation. So then we will come to know the minimum binding free energy that for each poses. Okay, and based on that, we can choose the best one. So once this is done, so we can select the model which is of our interest, and then we can save it in the PDB format. So now once we have got the PDB format, we suppose we did the protein ligand docking, or we did the protein docking. So we have the PDB formats with us, right? So now what do I, how do I come to know about the analysis part, and how do I do the analysis, the post-docking analysis? So for post-docking analysis, one of the most commonly used software for visualization is PyMol. So here briefly, I will just show PyMol, some very basic functions. So you can see here that this particular protein, it is already present in the workspace, right? So for you, you can go to File and then just say Open, okay, and then select the protein of interest, the complex protein. Okay, so because I have it in my workspace, so what I'll do is I'll just say all, and then say preset, then say ligands. Okay. Now, once I have this ligand, okay, so you can see all the interactions here, right? So how this is hydroxychloroquine again, and this is the ACE2 protein surrounding it. So you can see how this particular ligand is actually interacting, right? So you can see that, suppose I want to know that this interaction and what is this particular residue. So I'll click here, left click, then right click, label, and say residues. So this is glutamine 189, right? Similarly, suppose another one, if I want to see, suppose this particular interaction, I want to know this residue, say left click, right click, label, residues. Okay. So, okay, this is also glutamine 189. So this is only one amino acid residue. So let us see this one. This is glutamine 166. Okay, so these kind of we can actually do such analysis here, and also for our publication, we can generate such figures. Okay, suppose I want to know the distance between this. So I'll go to wizard, go to measurement, then select the first atom, select the second, and this is the distance. Okay, if I want to change the background, I'll just go to display, then background, and let's make it white. Okay, so we can also change all the colors of these dashes, that is the distances, the fonts, everything can be changed and made the picture can be made better for publication. So we can also go to show as cartoon. So now it looks like a cartoon, right? So all this analysis and visualization images, so these can be created using PyMol. There are a number of more functions, and I believe the videos that has been shared with you that will show you all this in more detail. Then lastly, let us just explore PyMol. Let us just explore Chimera, because PyMol we have already seen. Okay, so there is another software which is very easy and very convenient to use, that is Chimera, which gives very good images that can be used for your publication. Okay, so we have this 5R82 remdesivir. So all these lists are, I have worked on all these, PDBs earlier. So those get saved, and it is so convenient that you can just click here and then the protein will come in the workspace. Okay. Otherwise, if it is not there, you can just go, if you're new to it, just go to file, just go to open, and then you can choose the complex of your interest for analysis. So now you can see this is a protein, okay, and these are the compounds, right? So suppose I go to, let's make the background white first, okay, and there are two chains you can see here, A and het. Het means heteroatom. So if I choose the A chain, okay, and let me just color it as cyan, okay, and the heteroatom, let us just make it in a different format, like ball and stick. Okay, so you can see here how it looks like, right? And there's you can actually make very good figures from here. So now if I want to know how the interactions look like, so just like we did in PyMol, so we'll go to structure analysis, find hydrogen bond, and just say apply, and it will show all the interactions. So you can see here, let us zoom in. So it's all mouse, you have to rotate, keep rotating the workspace using mouse. So left click, right click, revolve, that's it. So suppose for this residue, I want to see what is this. This is glutamine 189. Okay. Now suppose I have another. Okay. So I want to, make this as heteroatom, different color. So I know this is glutamine 189. I go to tools, I go to sequence. Now, if I choose glutamine 189, okay, and then just say action, atom, show. So it is showing the entire atom. And then if I say color as heteroatom, so you can see now it looks, better. And now you can actually see oxygen, hydrogen, oxygen. This is a hydrogen bond. So all this kind of visualization and good figures for molecular docking results, those can be made using this Chimera. Okay, so I think this is the end of it, and I believe most of you have been able to follow up till now, and also that. So you can actually sit at home and explore all this. I might have moved a bit faster, but hopefully because all the links have been shared, you will be able to follow it up.